What if I told you our Earth is coming to an end? Now that I have everyone's attention, I wanted to talk about how human consumption of animal products is a leading cause of our droughts. With that being said, I wanted my both statements I want to make. Animal agriculture utilizes excessive amounts of water, and the second one is our dairy products consume vast amounts of water as well. With that being said, in our society, we're brought up that eating meats and dairies is what we need, is a source of being a healthy person, and that without meat or milk, we're not able to grow fully as a human being. With that being said, I want to talk about the animal agriculture utilizing excessive amounts of water. According to an article I read, producing meats and dairy consumes a large volume of water primarily due to growing the forage and fodder to feed the animals. So we use a lot of water not to just grow these animals, but to feed them and bathe them, which is something we don't really think about as well. And then, our second point is dairy products consumption vast amounts of water. Also, according to the United States Department of Agriculture, they stated that agriculture is responsible for 80 to 90% of our U.S. water consumption. So they stated that on their website. Then the last point, 477 gallons of water are required to produce 11 pounds of eggs. And then 900 gallons of water are used required to produce milk. So in conclusion, sorry. So in conclusion, I want to state that not just not having meats and foods. Sorry. Okay, so as a human being, by eating animal products or consuming the meats and produce, we're actually adding to the drought in California and as a whole in the United States. And we're not, it's not beneficial for our sake and for our future generation. And it's also not beneficial for the animals we're just mass producing them and slaughtering them and not helping the environment as a whole.
All right, well, I like the dramatic statement that you have at the beginning. I think you ought to come back to it and tell us why we're all going to hell in a handbasket because of this. You mostly are talking about the drought in the original claim, and I think that that's a little bit problematic because you never make reference to the drought again after that. It's really water resources that you're talking about, and you're suggesting that we are mismanaging the water resources. I think that's probably the way the claim should be phrased. You do preview what the supporting points are going to be, although you sort of rush through those as you're presenting them. And when you get to your first point in the body of the speech, I think that you're basically repeating the idea and not in a very clear way, because you gave us, kind of this introductory, like an introduction to the first point again, similar to what you had done earlier in the speech. So that was a little complicated. You had one quote on that point. I think it's very vague as to what that quote means, and it doesn't give us any kind of relative discussion of how much water there is, how much gets wasted, any of those sorts of things. And the assumption is that it sounds when you talk about drought in your proposition, it sounds like you're going to be talking about shortages of water, but I never hear references to any shortages of water after that, just how much water is used in agriculture. And a lot of that is factual data. There's not going to be a dispute about some of those points. The question is that amount robbing us of resources because we don't have it available for something else? Is it dangerous or harmful to the environment in some way? That might be a reason that we should worry about it. But to be honest with you, if if gas was free, I don't think anybody would care how much gas you burned. If it was free in terms of all kinds of uses, including the harms. It's the cost and the harms that matter, and that's kind of what you're missing here. You're missing those sorts of things. And the same thing with the second point. You do label it when you get to it, talking about dairy products, and that I thought that was good. Your examples are okay. Like I said, there's some statistical data about the water use. The USDA information is pretty dramatic, suggesting that 80 to 90% of the water, it sounds like it was for production of dairy. Boy, that means that all those almond farmers that get accused of using up that water, they're pikers by comparison to the dairy farmers. So I think that that's an interesting point. I suspect that the response on that argument is going to be a little bit more involved. You're trying to get to your conclusion a couple of times and you're still having trouble doing it. I just think that your proof is a little bit thin here. You need to be a little bit more forceful on your claims. And like I said, there's an argument here, but you need to figure out, well, what is the point that I'm trying to make? Is it really an argument about the drought, or is it an argument about misuse of water resources? And if there is misuse of water resources, what are the negative consequences of that? I think that that's the part that's missing in your argument. All right, thank you. Did you have an outline that you were going to give me?
I only did one. I didn't know it was this.
Okay, that's okay.